starting soon. But
Yep. And I think here we are. Hello, world. Can people hear us? Can people hear us? That's always the question.
is
Yay,
anybody
live
out
coding.
there?
Woohoo.
Woohoo!
Loud
Hello,
and clear.
friends.
Okay, good. Good. Hello, friends. Yes, so as always, technical difficulties. But here we are. If you have been doing some live streaming, you might know that there might be some difficulty to get your NDI Skype sources into the OBSs and that kind of thing. So that's exactly what happened here. We fixed it with OBS.Ninja, which is apparently some great solution where you can just join in the browser and do all kinds of awesome things. But enough with the technical. Well, it's going to be technical, Luce. But first, we have to get one thing out of the way, Luce. I didn't share this with you, so it's a surprise for you as well. I'm putting on my party hat, and I'm going to sing Happy Birthday to You and balloons. Because everyone, Luce was, her birthday was yesterday. So how are you feeling? How is this new age?
It's good. It's what is it? Age plus plus.
Yeah, H++,
And
that's it.
I love the balloons.
Thank you.
It was a strange birthday with lockdown.
Yeah.
I've not seen anyone for a long time, but you know, build is my gift from the universe.
Yeah, so I mean, with everything that's going on, at least you can join Builder now, right? So that's
Exactly. Yeah, I got to spend all day with my friends from around the world. What more can you ask for?
I mean, that's exactly. Your mic's a little quiet. Yeah, that happens. Is this better? I think this is better. So that's the advantage of having all these buttons right here. Let me know if this is better. So you're Luce. Please introduce yourself a little bit so our new viewers know who they are watching.
Yeah, so hey everyone, I'm Luce. I am a Microsoft MVP and Twilio champion. I am probably the only MVP in the world who has a Xamarin shrine on their kitchen wall. True story. So yeah, I'm just really excited to join in with this. I've loved Xamarin for a long time. So this is going to be really fun, and I'm looking forward to what we've got planned today.
Yeah, cool. So my name is Gerald van Luis, all the way from the Netherlands. Luce, I don't think if you mentioned it, you're from the UK. Maybe people could hear it a little bit. Until recently, so maybe viewers who know me this and you didn't catch it yet, until recently I was part of the Xamarin.Forms team. I have moved to the Codespaces team now. I think the earlier live streams of a couple of hours ago was actually about a lot of GitHub stuff and also about Codespaces. So that's what I'm working on right now. That's really cool. And but I'm still, at heart, I'm still in love with Xamarin, of course. And there has been a lot of cool announcements about both Xamarin and Codespaces, all the things. So that is what we will be talking about today. I'm just seeing if I can get someone update the stream title so people know what you're actually watching.
Yep. Don't want to disappoint.
No, exactly. So let's just go over to, I think if I have set everything up correctly, then I should be able to do this. And there we go. Isn't this lovely? It overlaps a little bit there at the top, so sorry about that. I'll make this a little bit smaller for you to see. So I think the first thing we need to get out of the way is a big announcement on, the whole Xamarin space, right? The whole cross-platform UI thing. We have now the multi-platform app UI. There is a lot of plans for the next evolvement of Xamarin.Forms, which will be called multi-platform app UI. They've launched that yesterday. Luce, what are your thoughts about that?
Oh, I'm so excited. I think it's going to be awesome to bring it together. And I think because it's all going to be under one umbrella, it's going to be so much easier to get started. And hey, Codespaces, if it can support .NET, it can support multi-application user interfaces. Yeah, that's the one. So I'm super excited. Obviously, I've been lucky enough to know about it for a while, and I've particularly enjoyed David's little Easter eggs that people didn't realize were an Easter egg.
Yeah, exactly. So the MVPs, Microsoft MVPs, who are doing out there doing great community stuff like these live streaming, they have been in the loop for a little longer, so they know about these plans for a little bit longer. And yeah, it's just a little fun game between the Microsoft employees and the MVPs to put in some little Easter eggs for people to discover, and people will be like, haha, I already know. But that's how it goes. So if you're not following what we're doing here right now, this is going to be the evolvement. So if you've known Xamarin.Forms, that's what we'll be talking about in a little bit here. The latest and greatest bits that you can use today. But this will be the next iteration. I think the first preview will go out with .NET 5, which is announced to be in November, I think, with .NET Conf. There will be the first preview of this new solution, and it will be everything you know and love about Xamarin.Forms, but with a new architecture. And you can also plug in other structures. I mean, now it's all mostly based around MVVM, but then you can also use MVU, which you might know from other frameworks and all that kind of awesome stuff. So there's going to be a lot of stuff here. Also, another thing that I really, really love is, let's see if I can zoom this a little bit, is the single project approach that they want to take here. So right now, if you have built, we'll be seeing that in a little bit. If you're building a Xamarin.Forms project, you have a shared library, and then you have at least two heads probably for Android and iOS, or for UWP, macOS. I mean, you can do all those things. But now you can do everything from one project. I mean, that's the goal, a little bit down the road. And you just have these platforms right here. That means you just have to add your fonts, add your images just once, and it will automatically cascade to the right platforms, translate that the right way for you, and it's never been easier to use all those things in just one project. So that's really cool. Okay.
Super exciting.
Yeah, it's super, super exciting stuff. I know there was someone before we started live streaming who had a question, and I think he just repeated it. Lasamat, so thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, everyone. I'm still new to the .NET world, learning all the stuff. Will I be able to transition from UWPF into the multi-application user interface, or do I need Xamarin hands-on experience? So what I would recommend is to start with Xamarin right away, right now. I mean, go have the stream in the background and just go to the Xamarin website, download all the things. No, but in all seriousness, I think it will benefit you if you start right now, because all the things that exist today will also be applicable to this new stuff. This new stuff will be public in .NET 6, so that will take a little bit longer. But the XAML will have a little of a different dialect. So there's been some discussion around that for UWP, for WPF. There's little things that differ from XAML to XAML. And for Xamarin, that's no different. When the time comes when this thing is launched, the multi-application UI, then there will be again some changes in XAML probably, because we've learned from all that Xamarin stuff, and there are some things that that can be done better now with the knowledge that we have now. So I think some namings will change, but everything that is in there today will still work whenever this launches. It will be fully backwards compatible to all the things. So anything that you learn right now will not be a waste. I think that's the thing to take away.
Yeah,
here.
I'd agree with that.
Great. Then I'm not telling complete nonsense here.
So Tencel's asked a question, which is, do you still need macOS to build /debug for iOS?
That is a very good question. I think there is this nice little solution right now, which is called hard restart for Xamarin. And with that, you are able to quickly reiterate over new stuff that you're building. This is in preview right now. Forgive me that I'm not fully up to date on which is available to who exactly, because I'm confused with all the internal versions and beta versions and preview rings and whatever. Oh, maybe you know.
Yeah, so as someone that doesn't quite get a full on internal. So hot restart was shown in Maddie's keynote yesterday, which is an awesome job. So I'm pretty sure that it might still be in preview, but it's definitely will be public.
Okay, exactly. So this will be available for you at least at the short term. And what this allows you to do, you still need to have a Apple developer account and a paid developer program, because it generates some certificates and things and all the things that makes it hard on Apple to deliver these things. But whenever you have that in place, then you can just plug in your phone into your Windows machine, and at least for the development cycle, you can use this to do your development. So that is pretty cool.
Yeah, and as an iPhone owner, I can stand by how awesome it is, and how much easier it is just to be able to plug it in directly.
Yeah, so that's really, really cool. On that note, you still need to go through some kind of Mac hardware to actually put your app in the store. But that's something that you can do with App Center or with Azure DevOps. So that's cool. Okay. That's that. Were there any other cool announcement that you saw, Luce? What's the other things that
as well, as I said before, Code Spaces excites me, because with the move to .NET, .NET 6 will be when we start to get our multi-platform application UI, but I'm just really looking forward to Code Spaces, because I think it should hopefully eventually open up this idea that we can use Code Spaces to a degree for Xamarin development, which, I've used Visual Studio Online, which was what Code Spaces used to be called.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic, but it doesn't support Xamarin development. I used it for anything else. So the fact that we can have these unified code spaces in the cloud where people can come and work with you. So if you've got teams where you've got very specific setups and configurations, you can just set up a code space and it'll be available for everyone. So yeah, Code Spaces for me, I think, is just amazing announcement.
Yeah, I see in the chat, I think it's Michelle who just did the live stream on Code Spaces. I think people are now keeping count on how many.
It was awesome.
How many times we're saying Code Spaces now. So it's not that we want to promote this or get you into day drinking or something, but it's just an exciting new solution. And I happen to be on the team on both this Xamarin cool, awesome product, Xamarin.Forms, and now on Code Spaces. So, maybe it's a coincidence, but wherever I go, it's awesome. I mean, that's just the message here. So yeah, that's long-term planning. Hopefully it's in the near future to see all these Xamarin things in Code Spaces, but at least there's a bright future for it, and it's a really cool solution. So yeah, and I think the whole story with .NET 5 is going to be like, hey, we're still calling it Xamarin, which is kind of a separate thing right now, but what we really want to do is like make it one platform, really write your app once and run it on all the things, basically. I think Scott Hanselman is doing a really great job in showing. I don't know if he did that. I must honestly say I didn't see all the things yet. I'm trying to catch up. But I've seen a presentation from him where he takes one binary and he doesn't change a thing, and he puts that on a Raspberry Pi, he puts that on his mobile phone, he puts that on wherever you want to run it, Linux, everywhere. So that's really cool. All platforms awesome. Except Linux. I'm pretty sure that
that's what I love about Build.
Things on Linux. Yeah, really cool. Okay, but
that's what I love about Build. You just see so many amazing demos.
Yeah, so many cool stuff. So this I just mentioned, MVU. So for the people who don't know that, we're going to be talking about MVVM because that's what's in Xamarin.Forms today. With a little bit of XAML, data binding, we'll tell you all about it. But what's really going to be new is the model view update. So basically you have this set UI, and then you're just going to push a new state to that. So there's a really cool demo by David and Maddie. I think that session is repeated a couple of times. So if you didn't catch it, please do. It's really cool. They're also using a thing called hard reload, not to confuse with hard restart, where you can just change some code hit save, and boom, it will update automatically in your simulator or physical device. So that's really cool as well. So some things about the timeline, etc. Get involved today. So what they also did is launch the repository on GitHub right now. Like I said, they're trying to unify all the things. So it's at .NET//MAUI, and they're right now what they're doing is taking over all the Xamarin.Forms goodness, and here is going to be the development for the MAUI specific things. So in the issues, there's already a couple of specifications that they are thinking about, which will be mostly the things that they really want to change, which can also potentially be breaking changes. And we really need your input on that if you worked with Xamarin.Forms, or if you're new to the project. I mean, we want that input as well, to get your opinion on what we need to change and how to do it to make the best solution for everyone.
Yep, and Xamarin as a community and a team has always loved open source contributions. If you've ever been in the monthly Xamarin Communities.NET stand-up, you'll see that they go through the contributions and even give credit to all the community members who actually submitted PRs that got merged, just merged, I think, in any new releases. So yeah, absolutely, communities loved.
Yeah, so definitely. Yeah, I mean, I come from the community. I was community before, and then I got hired. So it might happen. It might happen. So okay, enough with the things. I see a couple of questions here going through on the chat. No native UI on Linux. No, we have some GDK, but then we're talking about the Xamarin.Forms stuff. That is definitely true. But if you're just talking about cross-platform .NET, it runs on Linux these days. MAUI. Is MAUI MVU syntax based on C# for markup? I don't think right now, because it will be, like I said, it will be all backwards compatible. So C# for markup might still be in there. But with the whole MVU thing, we also had Comet, which was a kind of experimental
thing. Yeah, my
thing.
understanding, and Lachlan's covered this as well, as as far as I'm aware, the MAUI MVU stuff is based on Comet.
Right, exactly.
Which is cool, because not only has Clancy worked on Comet, but he's worked on Comet on a stream, and he posts the videos of it to his YouTube channel, so you can actually watch Comet sort of get developed.
Yeah,
which is what's become MVU. So that's awesome. Again, it's just typical open source, really.
Yeah, exactly. So the other things, I'm cited for the perspective to code Xamarin.Forms in Visual Studio Code. So that's something awesome as well. The Visual Studio Code support has been asked for a lot, and it's coming. It's coming with this whole new iteration, this whole new evolvement. You can edit Visual Studio, or you can edit Xamarin.Forms apps in Visual Studio Code a little bit down the road. So that's very excited for the fans of Visual Studio Code. Then I'm seeing some things like, hey, will not support Linux. So I think there will be more focus on desktop platforms as well, more than before. Because you see here, deploy to multiple devices across mobile and desktop. So what I'm doing here is going into the wiki. This has been edited and updated a little bit, but I'm not really sure where things went. But I have a roadmap right here. So this also describes what we want to do for preview 1 late 2020. So this is kind of the things that you can expect then, with specifications where they are available already. And I think there should be somewhere in here. So here we go, Mac OS parity, Windows parity. So you can see that we're updating on these platforms as well to get everything at the same level that we want them. So yeah, I don't see Linux mentioned specifically here. I mean, we can only do so much at a time. But again, we're very open to the community. So if you have anything to contribute, to look at, you can start today for that as well. We welcome that. And anything that you PR right now, that will also end up in this new solution. Because again, everything will be backwards compatible.
Yeah, it's awesome. And with the announcement yesterday, all this MAUI repository went public. So it's all there and for the world to see and play with.
Yeah, exactly. So we
Like
have it
say
all.
if people have anything they want to see or they've got questions, raise an issue.
Yeah, we have everything out in the open, so go check it out.
Yep.
All right. So what are we doing today, Luce? You have created the pancake finder. What's that all about?
Okay, well, so I started to, but I think we'll start from scratch today. So I'm probably gonna get his name wrong, but I'm gonna try this really hard. So Stephen Taywerson, is that right?
That is very good, actually. Yes, I think he's in the chat, so he can confirm. But that's very good.
Yes. So he did some. So he does some awesome like third-party controls that we all love, like Pancake View and Debug Rainbows. But one of the things that he did recently was post a JSON of pancake data on his website. And if you've ever watched some of James Montemagno or Maddie Leger's things like Xamarin.Forms 101, you might have seen a monkey finder sample. And so what I wanted to do, I thought today, was do a better job of making a really nice looking pancake finder together using Stephen's data.
Yeah,
Because
so
you know we all love monkeys here, but we're moving away from monkeys to being a bit more Hawaiian. So we need to start the pancake brigade.
yeah, so I think.
So yes, as you've shown on screen here, I do have an existing repository, but it looks terrible, and I think it didn't take that long to do. So I think we can start from scratch and use all the cool things and make it look awesome.
Exactly.
And just show people how you can get started from scratch with a cool Xamarin.Forms app.
Let's.
Excuse me.
No worries. So we have two monkey finders here used in demos. So James Montemagno.
Yeah, I can drop a link in the chat for the monkey finder. It's actually hidden in one of James's workshops.
What? Why would he hide this? So I think, yeah, it's like Lou says, if you've been following this for a little bit, then you probably have seen this pop up here and there. And James has is hosting this static JSON file that he probably updates from time to time with some monkey species in here with their location, some details. So you have a bunch of APIs out there. One that I like is cats as a service. What is it? Is it like this? Cat as a service. There we go. Oops.
Okay.
So if you're looking for something...
Stuart's just asked if my cough... just asked if my cough was corona. No, it's because I've been talking a lot.
So you have all these REST APIs that you can use to just test out your layout, basically. So it's the lorem ipsum of your apps, if you will. So you can do cats as a service, which is also, but James is hosting his thing, which is the monkey data JSON. You can find that here on his
and it's now pancakes
domain. And we have Stephen, good friend Stephen, who does the same thing. But Stephen is known for his pancake view. So again, if you've been following the Xamarin stuff, you probably know the pancake view. Let's pull it up quickly. He hates it when he does this, plugging him, but you know, it's just a cool solution.
Well, it needs to stop doing awesome things that make our lives easier then.
Well, there you have it, Stephen. You just have to stop doing awesome things. Then we will stop promoting you. Which is a very cool control. So you can do all the gradients there back, very retro. You can do rounded corners, all corners individually. These are things that are not yet available in Xamarin.Forms. I know they're working on it, so that's the cool thing on Xamarin.Forms, right? We're just working to make all the plugins obsolete as fast as we can, so you can just use all of these things right out of the box. But this is a very cool solution. And because of that, because Stephen became known with this on his domain, he is hosting pancakes.json. So that's a little bit the same thing as James with the monkeys, but here we have different kinds of pancakes. So here we have crepes, American style, Scotch, serabi. I don't even know these things. So yeah, this is also a poffertjes. I know that one because that's Dutch. And so you can use this in your application to test out all the things. Let's see if we can get some poffertjes up here. Oh, that looks delicious. Okay, cool. People are feeling hungry. Good. I don't know where you are, but it's coming up on lunchtime here, so it might not have been the best subject for this time slot, but you know. So circling back, what Luce did is create the pancake finder, which is a variation to the monkey finder, and that's what we have here in this repository right here. So my idea was to just pull this down first, and let's see if we need to start from scratch, or we can use this, or whatever we're doing here. So I have this button right here, and to make you all jealous, I have here the option to open this in code spaces, and it's happening. It's opening a code space. Woo, but we're not here for that. Sorry, another code spaces reference. Sorry, people. But
Before we get started, can you just do me a quick favor, please, my friend?
Yes, I definitely can.
Can you just go to the OBS Ninja and do a screen share? Because I'm having to see your screen through the Twitch stream and it's slightly behind. If you don't mind. Now we're writing code.
Yes. So that is interesting. Can I do that?
It should be that you can either just go to the link again, or I think if you just put the ampersand view at the end.
Yeah, the big problem is, can you, oh gosh, this is embarrassing. Technical difficulties again.
It's okay.
Can you post me the link back through Twitter? Sorry, some back channel things going on here. I'll just go over the chat while Luce is giving me the right things.
There you go.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rick. It seems your link got censored there.
It's always time for pancakes.
Definitely. Do not forget to click share.
Even though I was obviously at home alone yesterday for my birthday, I actually made, well, I call them pancakes, but it's technically crepes for lunch.
Are you seeing something, Luce? No.
Not yet.
Share.
Lithics just put a good joke. I had a crepe birthday. I had a very good birthday. I might have been at home.
The crap jokes are always fun. Okay, why is this not working? I'm really sorry, everyone, that you have to be waiting on these logistics. Hopefully we can get this resolved.
I didn't try. Just go back to Twitter and see.
Well, okay, but you're seeing the wrong screen now, I think.
Sorry, everyone. This is technically my fault because my internet's slow, but Twitch can't keep up. Try that. I think that works.
Live coding is awesome, yes. If you have some actual code to look at, that's awesome.
This is why I want live code to look at. I'm not even a developer at work anymore. I do QA or testing, so I want all the live codes.
Let me see if it works if I do it on this one, because for some reason that's fine. We have audio somewhere else. So if I put it on this one, does this work for you, Luce? Do you have it now?
Not yet. I mean, Twitch isn't that far behind. I can always make do if necessary. Or we can live share and I can use Visual Studio Code.
Oh, wait. What does this do? Leave page. Okay, last thing I'm going to try. Then we'll just... right. The other link wasn't... Okay. Last thing. Share. Allow. Close. Go away. Do you have it now? I see you in this screen.
That's something.
All right. Well, I'm just... Okay, see if it pops up. I'm just gonna go with it now. Okay,
yep.
So we have the Pancake Finder. Did I do something already besides tease you with the code spaces? I think I'll just download the zip for now. Let's just do that. And
interestingly, this app actually has a grid problem that we can potentially fix if people want us to, or we can start from scratch.
Oh, well, there you go. So let's first see what progress you made already.
Bit scary having my code out there for the world to see.
Oh, yeah.
Even everything I do is open source on GitHub, but I don't write code anymore, so I'm sure there's lots of things that I'm doing that's terrible.
Well, we're all here to learn, right?
Absolutely. This is why I stream sometimes, because, well, hey, the world is our learning playground.
So if you haven't used Visual Studio for Mac before, this is it. You're looking at it, which is really cool because one of the things that I think you still can't do on Windows is zoom the solution view right here. So that's very easy for you to see. And so if you haven't worked with a Xamarin.Forms solution yet, this will be your shared project. And then you have a couple of projects for your Android, iOS, and UWP. So one of the things that we're doing down the road with this is to make this all just one project. You would just have this one. And inside there, you could have multiple targets for different platforms. But that's something that that's still a bit in the future, but that's how it will look later on. For now, we just have these head projects for all the different variations. So since we're on Mac, I like to work with iOS, and it automatically comes up with the iOS simulators. So let's just see if we can run this thing. Let's see what's going on here.
Woo.
Do we have any...
This is where Kim looks at my UI design and cries a little bit. And Stephen.
So I think Kim always says,
friends.
like, I'm just good at copying things, so maybe that's something.
But that's underselling his talent. He doesn't just copy things; he copies things by making beautiful designs in Adobe XD, and then making them look great in Xamarin.Forms.
Okay, so the iOS simulator is coming up.
Woohoo!
And Pancake Finder. Okay, so one of the first things I see is that it's not really compatible with the iPhone 10X.
Yes, thing. I hadn't done the safe areas yet.
Right. So I think one of the
I just cheat and use iOS 8 all the time. Not iOS, iPhone 8, sorry.
So that's one
all
of the
my
things
dirty secrets are coming out now.
Yeah, it's all out in the open. So what you can do, I always have to Google it, honestly, but is the platform.
Yeah, I know it's like platform
specifics.
iOS. Is it set safe area true or something?
Yeah, something like that. So this is really cool. What is done in Xamarin.Forms is that you can have in your shared code, you can still have some platform specific stuff. So because you just have concepts that are not reconcilable, right? So that's not for every platform. Because Xamarin and Xamarin.Forms approach is to use the native controls. So what you're doing in XAML, so if we quickly switch back here, we will see some views, and we have the pancake page, and this will be some XAML. Let's blow that up for you a little bit. And what we're doing is you can define a content page or some other page, tabbed page, whatever. Then you will have a grid, and you can define a label or a collection view. But if we stick to the simple example of the label right here, we will automatically translate that for you to a label on how that is supposed to look like on Android or on iOS or on whatever platform you're running this on. In the case of a label, it will mostly just look the same. But the same goes for buttons, for anything really. But so because of that approach, you will have certain concepts that are not suitable for all the platforms. So like if you're using iOS, you have these big title things. That's not something that you see on Android. Or on Android, you have the action button that floats in the down right. That's not something that's very common on iOS. So we have a couple of those things in the platform specific features. And before we had those, you had to go into these platform specific projects, and you had to do all kinds of magic tricks to make that work. But now for a couple of these, and it's becoming more and more, you can just come in here, these platform specifics, and you can enable those on your shared code. And one of which is the save area insets for the iPhone X and more of that. Also, what you can see here, modal page presentation style. Here, the large page titles that I was mentioning. Do we have a screenshot? So here you go, the large titles that you might see on iOS. But we also have one for or I believe there was, save area layout guide. No. What is it? People in the chat, help me. Just say no to save areas, says Kim. Yeah. that is something. But that's not an option because Apple says no. Okay, so here we go. So what you can do is just simply, you need to import this namespace right here in your XAML. You can also do it in the Fluent API that is available to you as well. So also from C#, but the advantage that we have with XAML right here is that I should be able to just paste it in here, and now say iOS use, no, what is it, save, come on, what was it?
iOS dot.
Is it? You have to do the page. Okay, gotcha. iOS page, use save area. I save this, and boom, it updates. See, so that's very cool. This will really help you.
Not seen it yet, but woohoo!
It's coming across the ocean. It's coming. So I mean, does it look pretty? No. Does it work? Yes. So
does anything I make ever look pretty? No.
Work in progress. And that's completely due to these save area things right here. You have to put in some magic to make that work. But if you would run this on Android, this is not needed. So it will just disregard this setting right here, the namespace right here. Nothing will happen with that. So that's the really cool thing about this. Okay, so what are we doing? Pancake Finder, search. Whoops, there we go. Error. Okay, that's something we can fix. Feed me. What does that do?
Nothing at the moment.
Nothing yet. Okay, cool. So
kind of a bit of a story behind this app. So this app came about when I was chatting to Stephen in one of James Montemagno's streams very early one morning. And so I just started doing it, but it's a bit of a playground for me trying things I'd not done before, which sounds quite funny to say considering some of the things I did, you'd think as a Xamarin developer I would have done a long time ago. But stuff like app-wide theming and things like that, I started doing with this app. So yeah, there'll be loads of strange things going on and code that looks terrible because it's just my playground.
Sure, don't worry. We won't.
Oh yes, it's fine. Absolutely. Like I like to think that I'm just sort of streaming is just our way of being openly revealing all our secrets, so everyone else realizes it's not just them.
Exactly. And so right. I mean that's why I'm here, and you can see me googling stuff. I mean that's just developers do that. Period.
Yep.
So the backstory here, Luce is not doing any Xamarin work day by day, but you love it. Your community, you love Xamarin, and so any spare time, any minute that you can spare, you're putting into Xamarin. No, that's not true, but you're putting a lot of time in Xamarin just because you love it, you find it interesting, and you love playing around with it. And the Pancake Finder is one of the projects that came out of that. So yeah, I mean, stuff doesn't work. We all have our playground app. Someone in the chat. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I have loads of side projects. So definitely good. Okay, so let's see the Pancake Finder. So you mentioned the app theming stuff. What was that all about?
So it's not even app theming; it's more application-wide resources. So for those that don't know, in the code, in the app XAML, you can set app-wide styles and colors. And normally, I just do it as attributes on the XAML for each page. But for the first time ever, I decided that I'm actually going to learn how to do application-wide.
Cool.
So this is my learning how to do it, which is why I said that it might seem strange that I've not done this before.
So I just got a little tip here in the chat that I should be setting the. Oh, look at that!
Stephen with his knowledge bombs.
Well, it was kind of obvious, I have to say. Set the background on the full page and not just the grid, and then we finally have a full, nice background color thing going on right here. So and because of doing that, I suddenly see crepes peeking under this label right here.
Yeah, where's
so
the rest?
What's going on? So let's see. I didn't really look at the code.
I don't think I would have pushed a commit that doesn't work.
Hey, we've all done that too. Don't worry.
True.
So here we have a grid which has a couple of row definitions. So if you've worked with Xamarin.Forms before, you know this is a very verbose kind of thing. I think there is an issue and a PR already that will make this syntax a lot easier, because we're here to talk about new stuff and coming stuff, right? Because this is built, this is all hot and happening. So let's tie in some new stuff here. Why don't I go to
we can always
Xamarin.Forms?
Yeah, we can always. If I don't know if some of the cool things like that are coming are if they're merged in, but they're just in nightly builds, which is what we call the preview. We can always update the Xamarin.Forms packages. As I said, this is my playground app, so
nightly builds.
We can preview the things if we want.
I like that. And what we have here is the, I don't know, grid column. So this is the Xamarin.Forms repository, just like the other one that I showed you. It's not merged yet. There is a bunch of pull requests. There is a whole bunch of issues that you can go look at, which is both enhancement requests or of course a couple of issues as well, and a bunch of pull requests, a whole lot from the community as well that are just waiting to become part of the awesomeness. And this is one by the team, by Stefan, which is really cool. And this will simplify the grid column row definitions by using a markup extension. So if this is all just magic to you right now, let's see if there is well, James is really happy about it. He says yes, yes, yes. And I think what this does, there is no example in here, but what this does is take all these row definitions, column definitions, and whatever, to not make you type all these things every time. But I'm sure because it's Stefan, there is some kind of test involved here. See, so this would be the new syntax. So you could just do column definitions and it will automatically know that this is column 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Same for rows. So you don't have to type all these things over and over and over again. You can just do this in line and it will just pick it up automatically. So that's really cool. That's
to mirror the words of the great James Montemagno. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's awesome.
So that's really cool. This is just the little optimizations that are really cool and will make it really easy to use. So that is something that's coming. The other thing that I see down here, so I'm still trying to look, we have 3 rows, one of which will be the label right here, which is going over 3 columns. So you can see some, I don't know, maybe some HTML influences here, where you can, I mean, developers, we all started with some HTML, right? And what you can see is we have the grid row, where we have the label, then it starts at column 0, and then we have the column span, so the label will go over all these 3 things. And then we have the collection view, which starts at row 0, column 0, and also has a column span of 3. So that's cool. The question is, why do we see just this one? But first, let's go quickly into the collection view. So collection view is basically your layout thing to show all the things. Which is really easy to use. Yep. So I think at the base of a lot of apps, all apps I would almost say, is showing some kind of collection in any form of shape, right? So you have a list of pancakes, you have a list of, I don't know, we're all quarantined, so we are watching all kinds of series and things. So you have your favorite show app where you watch your movies and you scroll that way, and that's all basically possible with a collection view. You just feed it a list of item source, in this case our pancakes, and it should show up with a list of those things.
So a couple of people have commented about my why a 3-column span when there's only 2 columns. That is human error. I was probably, if you look at the app, you'll see that the search and feed me buttons, I wanted them centered, but they're too far to the left. And so I was playing around with column and row definitions to try and fix it. And I think I just accidentally forgot to change a number.
All right. So,
So no, it's no magical audience test. It's just plain human error.
Let's just fix that right now. See what happens. Nothing. Okay, cool. Column span 2. What are the buttons doing? It's column 0. It's column 1 and 2. Okay, so let's make these grid row. They're also in the same row, right? So that's funny.
Yes.
So what were you trying to do? You were just trying to show a list of all the pancakes first?
Yes. So I just wanted, there's a nice layout where it shows just the pancakes with a bar that shows the name and I think the country of origin as well. And then eventually you'd be able to click it and go in, and then Stephen added some really useful info about descriptions on the pancakes. But for now, I've not done the click part yet. I hadn't got there. But I was just trying to display some of the pancakes in a nice, pretty layout.
Right.
This was very much sort of a Pancake Finder rip-off of Monkey Finder. So a lot of the layout should be fairly similar.
Okay. I've never worked with that one, so I wouldn't know. But let's see.
I'll see if I can find a image of it so that I can show you what I was trying to do.
So let's just, what is our audience? Is people, I see a couple of familiar faces who I don't need to explain anything about Xamarin.Forms, but where do you want to go? Do we want to know more about the beginner stuff? Do we want to just deep dive in the new stuff? Where do we want to go? Please put it in the chat. All the code spaces. Yeah, there's the code space again.
Woo.
Okay,
Stephen says to start the second row.
Start the second row. We're just listening to Stephen.
We listen to Stephen. Stephen knows what he's talking about.
Doesn't work. So the other thing that we can do, we have a grid where we have this fine control over what we want to show in rows and columns. But the other thing we can do is just use a stack layout for simplicity. And a stack layout just basically stacks, you wouldn't expect it, all the things horizontal or vertically. So that's the other thing that we could do, which should just stack this label and the collection view. And what do we have more? Another grid with the buttons. Oh, so that was why I was fiddling with the buttons here, but there's another grid right here. So it will just
Yeah,
stack
some of
those
this layout
things.
is probably painful to look at for some people, but as I said, it was my playground.
So
But we're a
I
nice
think
community. No one minds really.
exactly.
We can all
So
learn together.
we'll just make this stack horizontal. Whoops. And then we should have the buttons like that. I'm not sure, maybe my hot reload is doing strange things as well, because I don't really see any changes right here.
Yeah, I have a feeling that hot reload stopped for me on this app as well. But I don't think I worried about it too much because iOS build times are so super fast
Yeah, so that's one
that
of the
it doesn't take that much longer to stop and restart.
advantages of VS Mac. It's just super fast. So that's really cool to work with. Let's just see if this save does anything. Let's see if a restart does anything different. Rainbow View debug thing. Oh yeah, so that's cool to use as well. I mean, we're all about the... We're not expecting to do... So it's weird that it's not showing anything, right? Oh, there we go.
It also doesn't doesn't search all the pancakes when you start the app. So if you click search, it might bring up some of the other ones.
Is that a real phone or an emulator? This is an emulator. So this is something. If you want to use this, you still need to use a Mac. But you can. I can definitely hook up my my physical device as well. So here we have all the pancakes. There we go. And the way this all works together is we have this XAML page right here. And I'm going to assume, I didn't really look at the code, is we have a binding context. So like I said earlier, this is all about the MVVM, so Pancake Page View model. It's something is a backing store for this XAML page because we want to have a loose coupling between the two. So in our view models, we are going to have a Pancake Page View model, which holds a couple of things, one of which is a list of pancakes, and that's what we are seeing right here. And what we can then do in the XAML is just say, okay, I want to have a item source. Let's format this a little bit to pancakes, and it will reach into the view model that's associated because we set it as the binding context here. And it will use this property pancakes, and that in this code somewhere down here, the pancakes are populated, and boom, we have pancakes in our collection view. So that's really cool. So yeah, another thing that we have also, I'm not sure which version of, whoops, yeah, there we go. Which version of Xamarin.Forms is installed right now, because I think you mentioned that it has been a while since you worked on this. So this is 4.5.
A few weeks.
A few weeks. But new versions come out every 3 weeks. So, you know, in a few weeks, you're already behind.
Yeah, we can do the updates.
Let's do an update. I think it said I had 4.8 available, but that's because I have all these hacky nightly versions. Let's just stick to the
I don't mind hacky versions in the app, but if we're going to then put this code somewhere that I can keep working on it, I don't want it to be in NuGet packages I can't get to.
No, exactly. So let's just keep with the current.
Don't internal block me.
I think we have no. The nightlies are just available for everyone. If you...
Yeah, I remember David Britch, who does a lot of the Xamarin documentation and blog posts on Xamarin stuff. He actually lives locally to me, and back when I ran the Xamarin user group locally, he came to speak at the user group, and he showed me nightly builds, and I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Cool. Yeah, so it's very easy to use because we have the whole repository here. Let me quickly check on my other screen if things are not blocking, because our cameras are quite in the way sometimes. And here you have the build status, packages, and you can see, if I can scroll this way, the nightly Azure feed. So that's right here. And that results in a URL. Whoops, no. Then I should copy the URL. aka msxfci index.json, which points to a NuGet feed, and you can just add this one. Well, in Windows it will look different, but you know, preferences. Where is it? NuGet sources. Here we go. And we have the nightly. See, so I just plugged that URL here in my sources. And what you can then do, you can give it a name yourself. What you can then do is whenever you go to the manage NuGet packages, you can select the nightlies here as a source. And you will see all the nightly packages here. So that's 4.8.815 for you, nightly hot bits. That will be the changes that are merged just yesterday. So if you want to try out anything, that's how to do it. Hey, this zoomed back. That's funny. But let's just keep with the stable bits for now. So switch this back to NuGet. And you know what? Update all the things. There we go. What can possibly go wrong?
I trust all of them.
I mean,
that'd be fine. None of them are going to be such significant changes that you get breaking changes, because Xamarin.Forms doesn't really do that anyway.
No, it will. I mean, there will be some breaking changes whenever the new major versions will come out with the multi-application stuff. But for now, we just try to keep everything as backwards compatible as possible. So.
Yeah, about 2 years ago, I started making an app that I demo a lot in my intro to Xamarin talks, which some people might have heard of because I've demoed it a few times recently, called Body Language Assistant. But because it's my cool cognitive services demo app that I also use fairly often in my actual life, I didn't want to touch it or update anything in case it broke. But the other night, I decided to go ahead and actually update everything. And lots of things blew up then. But that's what happens when you don't update an app for 2 years.
Right.
Don't do that, people.
Don't
do not
do
be me.
Do not try this at home. So we've updated to the latest bits. Hopefully, we'll not run into a scenario like that. We can just still run this thing as before. And some collection view bugs will probably be fixed. Collection view is a relatively new control, so.
Did anyone else in chat find that use collection view you kind of almost had to have a mental update, sort of mental reset to how you think about lists, because it doesn't have view cells like list view does. So whenever I was picturing how I wanted it to look, I'd always think about how I wanted it to look in terms of lists with like line separators. I'm like, oh, it doesn't do that in collection view. So that was a fun one to learn.
Yeah. So if you don't know what that's all about, I mean, we've had, again, if we talk about the learnings of Xamarin.Forms, we've had the list view before. So let's just quickly add one. And the list view is just simply putting things, basically the stack view of the collection views. It will just put things underneath each other. So you would have the list view. You could also have the item source right here. So that can also be the pancakes because of the data binding. That's very easy to swap out. Then you can have the list view dot item template. So that will be the template that is applied to each of the items in that list. So that's the same concept that you see here. And we can take that. We can actually just take this data template and reuse it here. And that is usually all there is to it. So let's just take a leap and see if this actually works. Whoops, which it doesn't.
Let's take a dive into a soft stack of pancakes.
Maybe this was too big a change. Is there something funny in here? I wouldn't say so.
This is where we watch the expert play.
Yeah, well, also experts fail because it's not doing anything. Where's that view cell? Oh, you're right. See, so that's the thing that we got rid of, because before everything had to be in a view cell for this to work. I could have just kept.
So Pete in the chat has just mentioned, talking of not updating things, talking about updating Visual Studio a few hours before giving a talk. Well, we can relate to that. Last time I saw Gerald in person, we were at the Xamarin Expert Day in Cologne in Germany, and I decided, it'd be fine, I'll update Visual Studio like about an hour before I went live. But then I had mismatches with Xcode versions. But it turned out I downloaded Xcode from the Apple beta program rather than the App Store, so I couldn't see the update. And it was a lot of stress. I ended up loads of things weren't working when I gave the talk. And to just add pressure to it, Gerald and all his lovely organising friends were recording me messing up.
Of course.
So it's now on the internet for everyone to see. But yeah, lesson learned. Don't take big risks like that.
So what I'm trying to do here is show you the old way how things were done, which would have you have a image cell. There was a couple of built-in cells that you could use for the list view. So image cell is one of them. Doesn't show me anything.
You possibly need to move that. I might be a bit behind here, but the closing image cell. Oh yeah, you're doing it.
Or don't I need I do need the data template, right? I'm building too few apps these days and just working on the framework.
Well, I'm writing too few apps and not working on the framework. So.
Yeah. So what you would typically see here is the list, which would just go from top to bottom with the pancakes. And what we've tried to do with the collection view is give you one, more flexibility, and two, not just that boring list of cells underneath each other. So yeah, you have a lot more flexibility with the data templates, which also gives you a lot of performance because it will just load it whenever it's needed. But the other thing that you can do, see it just lost the items, I think. Right, so that might have been my problem. Quickly go back, list view, let's see if that, see, there we go. So that was the old list view, which would just give you this list. But now we've changed that to the collection view. And with the collection view, we also have the possibility to add certain layouts to that. So you can have multiple columns like this. You can also scroll it like horizontal. You can do whatever. So here you have this items layout, which is a grid items layout. There's a couple of others built in, or you can roll your own. And you can say orientation, I want this to be horizontal, boom, save, and we can do very big horizontal pancakes. See, so that is one of the awesome things that you can do with this new collection view in here. Another thing that is new, I think it's even experimental, is the carousel view. So kind of linked to how this looks. You might know, again, from popular apps, or heck, even the like the home screen on your device is probably some sort of carousel view. So let's see if we can turn this into a carousel view.
Well, unless you're me, I went a bit mad during lockdown and fixed my iPhone home screen so it's a single page with every app icon in a folder.
No. Why?
Yep. Because I got sick of having to scroll through about 4 home pages to find what I wanted.
I can see that. And here we have the carousel view, but I think this will crash. No, it's here. It's here. Look, so the carousel view is actually something that is built on top of the collection view, so it's a more specific use case for the collection view. And what you can achieve with this is just have this item right here, and you can scroll it with this carousel kind of thingy. So you can have it snap to a certain item like this. So I'm holding it now. I'm letting my mouse button go, and it will go back automatically to make sure that one of the items is selected. So that is what carousel view does. It is a very specific use case for these kinds of things. I think you can also do things like, what was it, peak area insets. So if we set this to a certain thing, then you can also make sure that you can see the rest. So you can make clear to your users that there is more to scroll to. When we are doing that, you might also want to say, snap. Do we have to snap?
So Surly Dev has just said that you can search for the apps that you want. That's true. So what I also should have said is that, yes, not only is it that I can't be bothered to scroll through to look for an app, I'm also a hater of mess. So I posted what I did the other day. I think it was a tweet that I made a video and even edited it, but then posted it as a tweet, which was literally I got annoyed by my desk and all the messy cables and everything, so I set up hue lighting and tidied my desk up. So part of me putting all the apps icons in folders is just that I wanted to organize everything.
Cool. Yeah. So I mean, I was telling you about it, but I could have just shown you. I mean, this is kind of like the carousel view thing as well, right? So it snaps back to
and I love how easy it is to implement the carousel view. You know, like you said, it's built on top of collection view, so all you had to do was change collection view to carousel view, and boom,
that's
a completely different style of interaction.
That's all I needed to do. So, and if I can change it just back, I'm just Control-Zing through this thing, made a boo-boo right here, save the thing, and boom, we're back at a collection view, which I wanted to be vertical. There we go. So, and now we're back with this. So it's very easy to change this layout. And as you can see with the hot reload things going on, it's just save and boom, you can see the changes as long as they're in XAML on your emulator or physical device, all the same. So that's really cool. Good luck finding the app among all these Xamarin apps on the virtual phone. Yes. So that is, I think I've seen someone make a comment to maybe we can just generate an icon per new app, which just has a random background color. Because yeah, if you do some Xamarin.Forms development, then your screen will look like this.
Yeah, on my actual iPhone, because I made folders, I actually made a folder called My Apps where I just stick all the Xamarin apps that I've got from debugging on my iPhone. And most of them, except about 2, all just have the standard Xamarin icon. I always feel like giving your app an icon is like going next level.
Yeah.
But it's actually easier than you realize to do.
Then yeah, if you give it icons, then you're close to finishing it, right? Then that's one of the last things you will do before releasing it. All right. So what else is there? I know there's one API that I love because I built it, which is the light and dark theme stuff.
Oh, yes.
So if we, for example, take this label right here. So what you can do, everyone knows, and at the risk of starting a flame war here, because light versus dark, I must admit, you can see it from my macOS theme. I'm more a light theme person. Sorry, I don't really see what all the fuss is about with the dark theme, but on iPhone now, on Android it's called dark theme. On iOS it's called dark mode. I don't know. There's a lot of names for the same thing out there. But you can easily switch now in the simulator to this dark mode. You can see it right here on the home screen, and we have that support now in Xamarin.Forms as well. You can just see the status bar changing right now when I switch between light and dark. So there's not much going on. If you're using like the default controls, so I think this label Pancake Finder has a text color. See, if we would remove this, whoops. If we would remove this, it would be just dark. See, and now when I switch it, it automatically switches with everything else. So as long as you stick to the default colors, then that's just going to work. But of course, we don't want to stick to the default colors because we all have these designers that are making our lives miserable and want impossible things from us. So to do that, we now have this text color thing. And what you can do here is, say, on app theme, you can specify values for the light and the dark and the default. So it will fall back whenever maybe light and dark is not supported on GTK Linux, for example. And what you can specify is, I want my text color to be red when it's very light, and dark is going to be yellow, just to get the point across here. And when we save this, it does all kinds of weird things. Oh, I know why. Because for this is also under the experimental flag. So what we need to do is do device, set flags. Whoops. App theme experimental. There we go. Now things should work. No, error. Okay, good. What's going on? Oh, made some typo there. How about you, Luce? Are you doing any dark themes, light themes on your phone or wherever?
So I normally use light theme during the day and dark at night, just because it's easier on the eyes. But what's quite fun actually is that body language assistant app I mentioned before. Obviously I hadn't updated it in so long, and when I updated it the other night, because it takes a photo, I had to deploy it to my iPhone to test that the camera stuff worked. And my phone was in dark mode at the time, and so it actually switched the app to a dark mode theme automatically, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. You know, obviously you might want to do these app theming type things so that you can customize things, but it was just cool to see that Xamarin.Forms gave you some light and dark mode stuff automatically.
Yeah, so so basically what we have right now is like 2 layers, because the whole Xamarin.Forms thing is like an abstraction above all the native stuff, right? So we do a lot of translations and stuff for you. Like I just showed you, if you use the default colors, it will automatically switch now, because in iOS they have these dynamic or semantic colors, again, different names for the same thing. So they have defined variations of shades of blue or yellow or red or just black and white to automatically switch whenever the background goes dark or light. I think you even have a setting in iOS and macOS that will allow you to change the dark and light theme depending on the time of day. So that might be good
that's
for
what
you.
I do.
And one of the struggles that we had here on the Xamarin.Forms layer to provide you with these APIs to just say, okay, we have light and dark and we have different themes, because this object will stay the same, right? So we had to implement some kind of method to detect the theme changing and update the values automatically. So what we did underneath is do this through a binding. But if I change now, you can see that this changes between yellow and red. So this will automatically, because at first I was like, okay, you know, people can change, but they will go through the settings here. Oh, you can see I have a couple of these open. But they will go to the settings here, and they will, I think in this simulator it will look different. It's under developer here and you can toggle it here, but they will only toggle it like this. But then someone came up and said, hey, but you know, there's this setting that will automatically change it whenever it goes dark outside. So yeah, there was definitely a big use case for this to update during the runtime, and we did it. So this doesn't just work for colors. You can also do this for anything, really. And this is, again, a markup extension, just like the ones that we just saw with the grid rows and column definitions. So you can also do this in the more verbose way, if you like pain, basically. You can say label dot text color, and you can also say, oops, it doesn't come up in the IntelliSense. That's funny. But you can say, okay, I want to have the light red and the dark yellow, and this will achieve the same thing. My typing skills are away. So there we go. And now we'll complain because I already defined it here. But you could also do this with an image, for example. So this will just infer whatever type is needed for this property, and it will give that to you. So if we were to have an image here and we would have the image source, we could also do the on app theme, but now we could just specify an image here for light and dark. So that will work in the same way. Oh, I don't need quotes here. So yeah, so that's really cool. So basically you can switch between anything that you can come up with the light and the dark themes right now. And also there is Did I break anything? No. In the background here, you can subscribe to your app current theme, request a theme changed. So here we also have an event which makes you do some custom things whenever the theme has changed. So you could also, I always forget how this is called, show dialogue, alert, what is it?
You're trying to show the pop-up box.
Yeah, display.
It's
I always
application dot. Oh, okay. I can just do display alert. Oh yeah, because you're inside the.
Right? Yeah, I'm inside the page, so I can do this. I'm just hacking away here, not doing any MVVM stuff. Theme changed. I think the new theme is in here, so we could just do request the theme to string, and thanks. Thanks. So now whenever we run this and we change the themes, this should come up. Again, this is all in preview, so if you are not familiar with the experimental features, Xamarin.Forms experimental flags, there we go. We have a docs page for everything.
Always. That's all the things.
There's a number of experimental flags right now. So app theme, carousel view that we just showed you, expander, that's also a cool one. We might have a look at that. Let's see if I change themes. Boom, there we go. Theme changed light. So you don't really see that. It would probably be like more clear if we also did this for the background color, just to show you that we can. You can also do this in like your dynamic resources and all your resource dictionaries. So that's really cool too. If we do light, we do light gray, and if we do dark, we do dark gray. Do we have dark gray? What's dark gray? There we go.
So last Matt's just asked a question. Does the Xamarin project template include MVVM setup? No is the answer at the moment. But as part of the the roadmap for the Xamarin stuff, they are looking to move to the .NET templating engine. So for things like the multi-app UI, you'll be able to do .NET New. And so when they move to that, I think they call it the Windows Templating Studio. When they do that, I think there are plans to allow us to much more easily create better templates, because I actually tried making a template myself the other week because I always set up MVVM. So yeah, to answer your question, at the moment, no, but there are plans to.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's very true. The reason we don't have it now is exactly because there's a lot of MVVM frameworks right now. So we have all the bits in place, like with the XAML and the data binding, to allow you to do all things MVVM. But there's a number of frameworks out there. There's Prism MVVM Cross. One that I have basically always used is Fresh MVVM. It might not be like one of the bigger names, but for me, it really just fills out the blanks between what's going on in forms and what we still needed. Like if we really want to separate the concerns on pages, you don't want to go navigating to another page, right? We don't want that. We want to navigate to a different view model, and a view model has to know which page to show. That's something. I mean, that's something you can do with all the other libraries as well. I'm very sure. But I don't know. For me, Fresh MVVM just did the most things, and I think
Fresh MVVM was the first MVVM library I used, actually.
Oh,
Also, Linux just asked, did I open source my template? No, because it doesn't use a new templating engine. I actually found out about the move to the templating engine because I tweeted that I made a project template the old way, but it had limitations around you don't have as much control over renaming of classes at project build time. So I created a template where the classes had certain names, and then you'd create the project based on that template, and it wouldn't rename those files to be what you called your solution. They'd still be called the old thing. So yes, I made a template, but it doesn't actually solve the problem. So just keep an eye out for stuff coming out of the new templating engine, and yeah, you should start to see what we actually want, which is, classes with MVVM structure named after your solution.
Yeah, so here I mean that's one of the reasons why we don't supply any template, because we don't want to make the decision for you which library to use. We love them all. It's so this is Prism, for instance. You also have, like I said, MVVM Cross, and they also, some of them also work on like just Xamarin, because Xamarin is not just Xamarin.Forms, of course. So yeah, that's what we do. But I think it's called the Template Studio, or what's it called? Template Studio?
Windows Template Studio.
Well, Windows, okay.
I know they are doing a lot of work with the team at the moment around that.
Which is a really cool solution that basically implements some kind of wizard that guides you through several steps, like, hey, what do you want in your application? You want to show things in a grid, and it will set you up with a grid. Do you want to use MVVM? Okay, yes. Then what framework do you want to use for that? It will automatically get all the dependencies for you, set some things up to get you started really quickly, and that's really cool. So here's what it is for the new Universal Windows Platform app. So you can choose, do you want to have one with the navigation pane? Do you want to have one with the menu bar, or just completely blank and you can do all the things yourself? Design pattern, code behind, so that's what you just saw me do. If we could open this up on the screenshot right here, there would probably be also MVVM in there. See, MVVM Lite. This is another screenshot. I just scrolled down. MVVM Lite is a package by Laurent Bugnon. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, see, really good French. Haha. He is a cloud developer advocate now at Microsoft, still maintaining this library. So that's just one of the options that's in there, and it will install that automatically if that's what you like to use. And I think
a thing to note as well is that you don't have to put an MVVM library or framework into your application.
No.
Xamarin.Forms does support some MVVM out of the box. So when I created my template with the old style the other week, I simply did it with creating my own class called BaseViewModel and then implementing some of the methods that you want to implement related to it. So if you're doing like a hobby app, for example, you don't feel like you have to put in any kind of MVVM library. You can if you want, and some of them are very lightweight, and there's nothing wrong with using them, but just don't feel like you have to. Vanilla's not always a bad thing.
No, definitely. Totally depending on what you do and where it's going to go. So yeah, I mean, those frameworks are just using all the things that are in Xamarin.Forms or in .NET. So there's no reason you could do it yourself other than making your life a little bit easier and focusing on what matters most to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we're talking about experimental stuff, you've just seen me do it, adding this experimental thing right here. So you can set multiple flags here if you want to try out some new things. You can just copy and paste things from here, the expander view, boom, it's in there. So there's a couple of things in here right now. I'll quickly go over some of them to show you what's up. I think I saw a question about the experimental stuff a little bit back here.
So the expander view I saw on Kim's stream earlier, and expander view would actually be quite a good one for this Pancake Finder app, because you could have it as the sort of name and image of the pancakes, but then you could use expander view to click on it, and then that will give you more details. So rather than loading a whole new page, I guess you could just expand it with the details.
Right. Okay, so the question I was looking for was, is it wrong to use carousel? Is the shell something people use? Okay, so there's a couple of questions in one. Is it wrong to use carousel? No. Why would it be wrong? I mean, it's your choice. It is marked experimental, which does mean that we are still working on it. We want it to have a little bit more features, to have a little bit more tests. And we also want your feedback on how is this API working for you. Do you want to see things working differently? Do you need anything more? Until we feel confident, then we take the experimental off and you can use it. You can use it before that if you have tested it in your scenario and it does everything that you expect it to do. It doesn't show any funny business, then you're welcome to use it. But that's at your own yeah, so the thing that we just want to do here is to get it in your hands early on, so you can provide feedback to us. We can provide you with new things, instead of just creating a massive PR a big time, put it in there, and then you're going to be like, yeah, this is not what we expected. So that's the thing that we want to prevent. We want to build this thing together with you, and that's what the experimental flags are all about, basically. So I think I saw someone mention there are so many experimental. Yeah, is that a bad thing? We just want to share all this goodness with you. So I think we already went over the app theme. Carousel view expander is like you said, Luce. You can have this. It's also maybe known as the accordion view. So you have a number of a number of headers, so to say. Let's just quickly pull it up. Actually, Xamarin.Forms expander. This was actually a 100% community effort. So here we have the header, and whenever you tap on that, it will expand. So this will expand under it. I think that is something that has been requested also for a while. I'm trying to find another demo. This does the same thing. So you can have a list of these headers basically, and you can also nest all the things. So here we have a baboon. So you can see here we circle back to James's monkey, Jason, I think. So here we have the baboon, and we have Africa and Asia. So you can just click on the baboon. You can see the regions come out of that, and for each region you can tap on that, and it will expand as well. So you can nest all these things in there. If we go to a little bit of code here, so we have the expander. You can have a header. Also, data binding is here, so you can bind this to a collection. You can just use that name right here. And then inside that expander, we can have another expander with the header. And it also, again, uses the templates. So you can put in a grid, you can put in a pancake view, you can put in an entire page if you want to. You can do all the things. This is very flexible.
So we've also had another question, or more a comment, not understanding how to contribute to MAUI on GitHub when you can't test it yet. The answer to that is, well, I mean, Gerald can correct me here, but I think it's related, unfortunately, to Corona. So I think there were plans to have all this available to play with much sooner, but because of Corona, it's had to push some things down the roadmap. So it's been announced so that it's out there in the open on GitHub, so that you can raise issues, you can help shape how it develops, you can see it develop. But at the moment, it's just too early because of Corona slowing things down to be able to actually play with it. But just watch out for the first .NET 6 preview later in the year when you will be able to play with it.
Yeah. So to be honest, I have no clue what the exact reason is. That is not for me to decide. But there will be a preview version, at least with .NET 5, and maybe we can do. I really don't.
No, there'll be no MAUI previews until .NET 6.
Okay. Oh, really? Oh, see, that's how
yeah.
Good I know these things. No, I just focus on,
because,
on my work.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know the exact reason, but yeah, I think just because of the impact of Corona and everything going on in the world, as you can imagine, it's impacted all of us in different ways. And I think that, yeah, stuff just wasn't necessarily going to be ready at the quality that we'd all come to know and love in time. And so they've moved to, you'll be able to start playing with MAUI from the first preview of .NET 6.
Yeah, so that might be a good reason, which might make sense. But so but if you're brave enough, go over to the repository, pull it down, compile it, and you can play with it definitely. Another thing that my eye catches here is the media element. Again, I think this is a 100% community effort, at least the initial work. And this allows you, this has a built-in way now in Xamarin.Forms to play media. Who would have thought? So here you can see media element, just one on a page, and it will play a video from channel 9. You can use it to play audio. You can play, all types of media. You can set all these things: aspect, autoplay, buffering, can-seek, is looping. Well, you name it. You can play with the volume. All bindable properties. So that is, again, a control that you can just use. It's as easy as just defining this media element, put in a source, which is here the channels, the Xamarin show that we just saw on channel 9. Show playback controls, and boom, you can play media.
That's
Again,
going
I
to be
think,
so awesome.
yeah, this is very awesome. This is available right now, so this is not gonna be awesome. It is awesome. I think this is from version 4.5, 4.6.
Oh, awesome.
So this is wait, I'll just, again, challenge accepted. Oh, I need to do this one first. I'll just paste it in our app and see what happens. I mean, we're not in the time we have another 20 minutes, 25 minutes, so we're not going to build a full pancake app anymore. We just got distracted by all the awesome things to play with here. Media element, and if I just
There's worse ways to spend a couple of hours on a Wednesday morning than just playing around with cool Xamarin features.
I just hope it makes a little bit sense to all the people out there, but you know, at least well, let's just comment this all out. I don't know what the media element does, but we'll find out in a moment. Let's see. Are we going to see a Xamarin show or not? See? Media element, loading down here, spinner. Oh, boom, there we go, James. With an F# shirt. So that's how easy it is to use media element. No preparation, just pasted it in. Boom, works.
Beautiful.
I know. I'm tearing up here. It's too much. It's too much.
No such thing as too much, James.
All right. So that's very cool. That just works. Radio button is another thing that came from the community. We took it over eventually because, you know, things happen in the community. People might not have the time to spend on it anymore. So we took it, made it up to something we could merge, and we did it. So we have a radio button now. Shell, I think I saw some people mentioning Shell. This is Shell for UWP.
I love Shell.
What is Shell, Luce? Enlighten us.
So Shell, I believe, is what the Xamarin team call a opinionated navigation framework. So it's a way to make it so much easier to lay out the navigation of your applications, and some of the connections between the pages and how you navigate between them is done for you. So you can just structure your app and kind of say, I don't know, I want a hamburger menu, so we call it flyout in Shell. So you can, you click like the hamburger icon or pull out from the side, and then you'll get like a menu, or you can have tabs along the bottom, and all you need to say to it is, hey, these are the pages I want in my application, and then it will go ahead and handle all that for you, so that you'll then get those pages or tabs available. Click them, it'll just take you to that page. But also what's cool is it supports what we call deep linking URI navigation. So you can actually supply it with REST style endpoints that we call routes, so that you can pass data between them and use that kind of style URI linking, which is great if you come from a web background, because it's just another feature that they've added to Xamarin to make it easier for you to understand and get started.
Yeah, exactly. So that's if you've worked with Prism before, that we mentioned earlier, the MVVM framework, then you're probably accustomed to the URL routing. So that's one of the difference between the different MVVM frameworks, but something that is now also in Shell. So you can basically just have URLs for all your pages, which is also a concept in Windows Mobile, I think, way back when. And you can just point to a URL. So basically you navigate through your app based on URLs. You can also specify parameters that way. So that is one of the really cool things about Shell. And in a more general sense, it just gives you a lot of stuff for free. So before we saw the content page, and you have a bunch of pages that you can implement on Xamarin.Forms. But with Shell, you can just define a couple of flyout items, and like you said, it will give you the hamburger menu, as you can see on the screen right here. So this will come in from the left, and it will show you these options. You can have this search bar in a very easy way without doing too much code yourself. It will automatically look cool. I think there's even, when you search this, there is some suggestion box built in. So when you start searching, it picks up on the item source that is underlying this list view right here. And it will automatically show you, well, it's probably configurable if you want to show it or not. It will show you the suggestions based on the things that is typed, and someone can just press that and drill down from there. So you also have your master detail view set up. You can see that here. So you have the list. We pick one cat, and we see the details of that cat, and you will automatically get all the navigation related stuff in there. So like you said, it's really the opinionated thing on how to build an app. And if you just want to create an app in a very quick way, get started, maybe build a prototype, this is really powerful stuff.
Yeah, and as Matt pointed out in the chat, it's URL routing with query parameters.
With query parameters, yes. Search view does autocomplete. That's cool. So see, someone is learning something from us. That's good. That's good. Okay, so we have, like I said, another 20 minutes. Maybe there's people with specific questions, specific things they want to see. Luce, do you have anything that you really wanted to share with all the cool stuff that's going on?
Not at the moment. I mean, Shell. So I love Shell, and when it first came out in Xamarin.Forms 4.0, which was, I think it was 21st of May last year, something like that. I actually ended up writing a talk on it for the Xamarin Expert Day in June, a few weeks later. And so, yeah, I love Shell, and I love that we've got an excuse to show it off.
Yeah, so that's really cool. So what we could do.
What's fun as well is that even though we're supposed to be the ones stood here, teaching people all the things, even just learning all the experimental things, I'm getting ideas for things I can do. It's great. I love it. This is why I love Build, because it's just so inspiring.
Oh yeah, there's so much stuff that you can now go out and play with. That's really cool. Oh, this doesn't work because, well.
Did we ever solve the layout problem in Pancake Finder, or did we get sidetracked?
Oh yeah, let's just do some actual work on this app. Let's do that.
I'm just cheating and using a Xamarin.Forms team, former employee, but forever member spiritually.
Oh, of course. I mean, they can never take away the tattoo here. No, I'm kidding. So okay, light and dark theme. Let's just we've implemented light and dark. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Let's just take credit for that. So what did you want to do here? We have.
So I wanted the search and feed me buttons to be centered.
Right.
But they're all in one column to the left. I'm not quite sure what I've done wrong. It should have been that search was under column 1 and feed me was under column 2.
Okay, so our problem now is that I've turned this all into a stack layout. So this is just the stack thing here. I am going to maybe need some help here, because I always, like you are misusing me here for all these questions. I'm misusing Steven for all my layout stuff. He's much better. I'm more a back-end code guy. But let's see if I can fix this. So what we want to do, oh, there we go, Steven. Horizontal options. Yes, that was exactly what I wanted to do.
Lazarmatch just asked a question, can I use system-specific sounds in Xamarin? So a beep on our Android beep. So all Xamarin.Forms and Xamarin is a thin C# wrapper around all the native SDKs and tools. So once it's actually built and deployed to the devices, it's all native. So if you say to I don't know if specifically Xamarin.Forms can do a beep, but if it does, basically if you say to it, do make a noise, you will just get natively the iOS beep and the Android beep, unless you happen to have your own beep sound that you tell it to use.
Yeah, that's the general idea. Yeah. So if maybe I can just fire up to make the point here, fire up the Android emulator as well. By the way, I don't know if you noticed that it's not like perfect. Oh, because it was hot reloaded. It was in the center now. So now I'm booting up the Android emulator as well, and you will see right now, because we do a lot of custom layout things, it will mostly look the same probably.
We'll find out.
Silverlight was a thin wrapper around the not implemented exception. Well,
That's
at
a good
least
take.
for, I mean, we have different. That's why at the beginning we had the parity for the desktop platforms. Right now the focus is on iOS, Android, UWP. So, and iOS and Android should have all the features implemented. For UWP, most of the things, and for other platforms, I think that is mostly community backed. So whatever the community has implemented, we're happy to take it, but we might not spend as much effort on those. But between at least iOS and Android, what most people are using, yeah, all the things should be interested in that. Implemented. So here we have the Pancake Finder on Android, and excuse me. The point that I wanted to make is, like I said, we're using a lot of custom layout here, so it will mostly look the same on both platforms here. But if I would just define a vanilla button without a background color and that kind of thing, can I just do that somewhere quickly? Just to illustrate the point. No text color, no background color, no nothing. See, on Android it looks like this boring gray button right here, and if we go back to the iOS one, we will see that the button looks different, but it looks different like it's supposed to look on iOS when you don't do anything, any styling on it. See, so this is how a generic iOS button looks like. So that's the thing that we try to do with Xamarin.Forms. That's the big idea behind it, to give you an abstraction.
Teach the people?
Sorry, what was that?
Because you stopped Android to start iOS. We should show run configurations.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Do you know how to do it?
No. I know what you mean.
Right click and go to options.
Okay, so let's explain a little bit first what we're doing right here. Change the toys, my eyes. Oh my god, people are asking for all these kinds of things. What Luce wants to do right now, what you can also do is run both of the things. So what I've been doing right now, I stop the one, switch to the other. But what you can also do is run them both whenever you start a debug run. And Luce is going to teach me how to do it right now.
Yep. With a Twitch delay, so it'll be off by heart. Let's see if I know my stuff.
What do I do? Right click on the solution?
So if you right click on the solution name and then go to options, I think it is, or properties. And then I think it's on the left on the menus, there should be, is it run configurations or build?
I have run configurations, then I can press new. Is that what we're after?
Yes, you've got run configurations. If you click add.
Android and iOS. Oh, what's up with typing today?
Oh, that's it, new at the bottom, yeah. And then give it a name, and then you can, once it's created, if you double click it, it'll give you the option to check both platforms.
Okay, so there we go, solution saved. And where do I, oh, so then, okay, cool. I knew this existed, I never really used it. So now in our drop down here, we still have Android and iOS. I can run those separately. But what I also have is Android and iOS. So if I click that, but how does it, what happened? What happened? Preview bits, okay. It closed my visual. It closed my Visual Studio for Mac just out of nothing. So I think that crashed. But how will it know what emulators to use? Does it just pick whatever?
It just uses the last ones that were open, I think.
Okay, cool. Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Or there'll be a default, I'm not sure.
Okay. Multiple. Oh, this is really cool. Okay, so Luce, you'll see this in a couple of seconds. I can choose this run configuration, and then here under multiple, I can choose an emulator for Android, and I can choose an emulator for iOS. That is really awesome. I wish I had known this back when I was on the Xamarin.Forms team. So
Well, there
and
you go.
see,
I'm glad that I managed to teach you something today.
yes, so even I learned something. It's incredible. So you just run these two things side by side, and that's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, so search.
We all love productivity.
Definitely. And so does it also then work? Maybe I'm screwing things up here. Pancake Finder. Can I add a monkey here? Monkey emoji. Monkey. Oh no, I needed to add the pancake ones. But if I do this, doesn't seem the hard reload is liking this, right?
I'm not sure. But then we found earlier, didn't we, that it wasn't always doing hot reload anyway, was it?
Right. So maybe
I'm not sure if that's a multi-platform issue.
I think this might be something that's still in development with the hot reload thing. But yeah, cool.
True.
Okay. But so you get to choose. You want to see all the things on both platforms, or you want to reiterate over your design. That's the trade-off that you have to make here.
Yep.
I miss VB6. Okay. I think there's a lot of people missing that, but having issues with
VB6 was one of the first languages I ever learned, because I did like a IT course at it wasn't college. It was college, but not what Americans think of as college. And we had like a programming 101 class, and so I got taught VB6. But I really like programming, so a friend of mine was like, "Oh, don't learn VB6, come learn C#." And that's how C# came into my life.
And now we're here. Now we're doing a live stream for Build. Really cool. So I see Matthew Leibowitz. I think he's a bit biased. He wants to see the material design. So that's another awesome thing. So there's a whole lot of things going on with the whole Xamarin.Forms space, right? So we have these vanilla buttons right here. It will look and act natively as you expect them to be. But we also have this thing called Xamarin.Forms Visual. Whoops. Again, typing is not my friend today. Visual. And with Visual, you can implement, we have a built-in one, which is the material, but more might follow, or you can implement them yourself. And what this does is basically, if you use Xamarin.Forms, what happens is you have renderers. So you define a button, and inside these renderers, we determine if you are running on Android or iOS. And in that renderer, we will hook up the properties that you give to that button, so the text or the background color or whatever, pass that to the actual iOS or Android operating system. I'm saying Android and iOS, it can be UWP, it can be whatever. And we hook up those properties for you. What happens with Xamarin.Forms Visual is we have a specific set of renderers which will hook up the properties a little bit different. And in this case, it will mimic the material design by Google. The material design is not something that is specifically tied to Android. It is a design specification that lives separately from it, but it is implemented in Google, of course. So in Google, the implementation of the renderers was pretty easy, but we mimic the whole thing for iOS as well. So what this really enables you to do is to get a consistent look and feel of controls across the platforms where the visual material is implemented. So what you can see here is, for instance, iOS and Android side by side, with this button that looks very material-ish, right? Oh, so the screenshot is even bigger. So this is how a button is supposed to look like in material, and also if you click it, it will have that ripple effect that you will see on Android and the material things there. Also, this whole thing is a card. So if you're using an Android, then you know how these card things are looking. And it's a bit hard to see because of the background colors and things. But yeah, that looks exactly, well, besides from the cropping here, it looks exactly the same with like the texts and that kind of thing. And you can apply the visual material on all these controls. These are supported right now. So pickers, buttons, editors, entries, the things that are most common in your applications probably. And the cool thing is, so you need to do a little bit of initialization here, but the cool thing is you can apply this on a page, on your application, or even on just one control. So you have a really fine-grained control on, over where you set this this material thing. So that's really cool, and you can really get this consistent look right here. I want Fluent. So yeah, there's been some talk about the Fluent design, which is basically the material, but then by Microsoft. So there's different ways that we can go this. I think there was also talk about a visual called Cupertino, so you can do it the other way around. You can mimic the iOS visual on Android. But yeah. I think Luce...
It's still pretty awesome.
It's very awesome stuff. I think, Luce, we are running out of time. I think actually our time is up. We've been asked to
flown by.
Yeah, it's flown by. And again, I hope it made a little bit of sense. You learned anything. Our plan was to make some kind of pancake app, but we got distracted by all the cool things, all the cool announcements that have been here at Build. So yeah, if you have any follow-up questions, I think, yes, our handles are down here. For me, it's down here. For Luce, it's up here. So you can follow us there.
Luce is my Twitter.
Yeah, is that your Twitter handle as well? It's your
Luce Carter 1.
Right. So it's on Twitter.
I'll drop the links in the chat.
Do that. So follow us on all the things if you want more content, hopefully a little bit more structured and less
I've also dropped
issues.
a link to my GitHub to find the pancakes.
That's cool. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and enjoy the rest of all the build stuff, and of course code spaces. Code spaces are awesome.
Yeah, go find what other awesome things I can watch now.
All right, thank you. See you soon. Thank you, Luce.
Bye, friends.
Bye bye.
And thank you.